Well, hello, and welcome to 60 and Sassy. We're Karen and Honey, two women in our 60s who are not done living, dreaming, or laughing. Each week, we dive into the beautiful mess of midlife and beyond with no rules, no filters, just real talk. Thanks for listening in. Enjoy. Well, hello, friends. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. Okay, for starters today, folks, we have a few housekeeping items that we need to talk about. First of all, if you remember in our last episode when we started laughing about Honey's hair sticking out on the left side of her nose, well, I am happy to report that when we were later talking, it was her turn to forget her words after she made fun of me forgetting my words. She needed some pliers to get rid of that thing on her nose. So I said, pliers? Do you mean tweezers, maybe? Yes, that was the missing word, tweezers. So if any of you listeners out there have any facial pliers, according to Honey, please send them our way. The second housekeeping item, that little egg timer that we all keep hearing. Well, guess what? It's not going anywhere. Apparently, it is some kind of recording notice, and it's a legal thing that notifies the other listener that they are being recorded. So we're just going to ignore it together. Does that sound good if we can do that? But we're old and we have absolutely no plans to change the way that we record this podcast. So there you go.
Exactly. I mean, you're basically listening in on our phone conversations anyway. So, and moving on to today's topic, what we wish our 30-year-old selves knew if we would go back and do it all over again.
Yep. Our 30s. Wow. It's kind of hard to remember back that far, honestly. But I remember it as being just a wonderful, hectic decade. It was a really great decade looking back. What stands out for you as you look back to it?
Yeah, it was definitely a crazy time. Early 90s, big hair, big shoulder pads. And then, yeah, I was in my experimental hair phase. Long, bright red hair, listeners, in every shade possible. It
Oh,
was crazy.
you did. You were very experimental with your hair. I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that. You did have red hair. But you know what the great thing
Hmm.
was about that is that you were always so easy to locate in the office. It was like, oh, there she is, way over there. But man, life was moving so fast back then, wasn't it?
Oh,
You had
yeah.
just moved here a couple years before, I think, from Holland to the US.
Uh-huh.
I had just recently been married, and then a year later, we were expecting our first child. So that was super exciting. And looking back, I just sort of remember feeling overwhelmed though. There were so many plates that we were trying to keep spinning. And we had high expectations and a lot of pressure from the work that we did together back then.
Hmm.
And I think also, though, that we probably put a lot of unnecessary expectation upon ourselves, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, exactly. Especially with our sort of personality quirks.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of those years, I remember you pregnant.
So
That
do
was
I.
fun.
Hmm.
Which reminds me of a funny story after you gave birth the first time. Do you remember that?
Do I remember after 60? Honey, we know this. Nothing good ever starts with, do you remember?
Oh, yeah, true.
Yes, I'm actually not exactly sure what you're referring to, though. So do
Oh,
tell.
oh, well, listeners, you're in for a doozy. So, in my kindness, I trotted over to the hospital after your firstborn, of course, with a gift. And so I entered the room, and there you were sitting on one of those donut thingies. Oh,
That's
and
pretty cool.
so I inquired how your labor went, and a priceless response by you. And I quote, "My ass hurts."
I did not say that. Did I say that?
You said that.
Okay.
That's really true.
Well, I am a firm believer in always being honest. But yeah, you're welcome, listeners. I'm glad that you know that story. Thanks, Tony, for sharing that lovely story.
You're welcome.
So by the time that we were 30, I think we felt like we should have life figured out, right? You think that you've kind of arrived and that you should know most things in life. But suddenly there were all these new pressures. There was more responsibility. There were bigger goals. There was less time, strangely. I'm not sure how that works. Uh, and just this constant feeling of being behind bills and babies and husbands and bosses. It just seems like there's so much to juggle when you're in your 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. For me, the same. And I, of course, had just moved to the US, as you already said. I moved here when I was 26, and my 30s were about adapting. I had to improve my English and then navigate a completely different work culture because in the Netherlands, my job was calm. But in the States, there was stress everywhere.
Mm.
And I developed so many vague health symptoms back then, always going to see somebody about something. And looking back, I just know it was the pressure of that work environment.
Oh, I have no doubt. I'm sure it was. It was a stressful work environment for sure. And
Yep.
stress for sure can do that to us. Yeah. I honestly think that the younger generations today, they are so much more wise than we ever were back then, it seems.
Mm.
My girls and their friends have such a better understanding than we ever did about their health, about relationships, personal growth. And I feel like they are really good at prioritizing balance in ways that never even crossed our minds. Balance wasn't a thing back then. And now, you hear the
Mhm.
term work-life balance and we never we never talked about things like that. But they're smart, even things about always carrying a water bottle with them everywhere they go, for goodness sake. We never did
Mm.
that. I mean, back then, what was hydration for us? It was a Diet Coke, probably from the break room. We didn't even know what a Stanley was.
What is a Stanley? I thought it was some sort of hockey related cup or something.
You know what? Let's save that lesson for another day. But the short
Okay.
version is that it's a water bottle that's really big enough to double as a free weight. Huge water
Mm.
bottle. I'm sure you've seen
Okay.
them. If you see young people these days, they're all carrying these big, huge things around.
Okay.
So that's
I'll
what that.
pay attention.
Yeah, please do. Yeah. So that's what that is.
Yeah, that makes me think. Here's something that people don't realize that when Europeans come over here with their school English, we probably understand, I mean, 60 to 70% at best.
Hmm.
At least that was me. And my first job in the States, they actually put me on the phone. And I could barely follow conversations and I mispronounced words and I didn't know the expressions. And of course, my coworkers thought it was hilarious. So I couldn't even say the word three correctly.
Mm.
And if I counted, I would say one, two, three. And they all would imitate me mercilessly, well, another word I can't pronounce, endlessly. And so it was just so funny. So that became like the joke of the office. But to me, Karen, 30 something traumas.
Oh, that's so sad.
Hmm.
I didn't
Hmm.
imitate you, did I? I'm sure
Oh, of
I
course you
didn't.
did.
Okay. But the good thing was that you kept us laughing. And you know what I love is that you laughed at yourself right along with
Yeah.
us. And that's what made it so fun. And that actually
Uh-huh.
is a great quality that you possess. So thank you for being willing to laugh at yourself. That's a great quality. Yeah, so we're both newlyweds, right? We're figuring
Hmm.
out our careers. We're trying to grow up so fast. And then you probably remember that I stepped away from our job that we had after our firstborn arrived. And then I feel like our paths kind of diverged a little bit, but our
Hmm.
bond never really left. And now here we are, you and I both in our 60s, you older than me, I'd like to point out. but
Mhm.
still talking every week and reflecting uh, with much more perspective and wisdom, right? So let's think about those lessons that we wish we knew at 30. So for me, I think a big one would be to simply slow down. Everything felt urgent back then. The
Mhm.
meetings, the goals, the to do lists. And I think if I could go back, I'd remind myself to just breathe and soak in those little moments that so quickly pass us by. Like really experiencing the little baby kicks or truly pause to take in a sunset. I don't think I ever did those kinds of things in my 30s.
Hmm.
And also, I don't think anybody really on their deathbed is going to say, "Oh boy, sure wish I got to that email sooner." I mean,
Sure.
those emails and deadlines definitely could have waited more often, I think, than I realized.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I mean, our perspective changes so much over time. I mean, we let our careers define us, running from one meeting to the next. I wish we'd set better boundaries and not let work dictate our worth back then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I tell my younger self, work to live, don't live to work. Yeah, I'm sure you've
Mm-hmm.
probably heard that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I'd also tell my younger self that when you start using moisturizer on your face, be sure to go just like 6 inches lower and put it on your neck as well, because
Yep.
trust me, your future neck will send you a thank you note if you do
Yeah, exactly. Well, I didn't get that note, so too late.
that.
But great advice, Karen. And I also think that I had chronic fatigue back then because I was always so exhausted,
Hmm.
especially the weekends I had to recuperate. And that's totally why I missed your wedding, by the way.
Oh. Okay, so you might
Hmm.
actually have had that, honestly, because I do remember seeing you with dark circles a lot under your eyes. You were tired a lot. Yeah.
Hmm.
But really, I don't know, honey. I think it's maybe more likely that you missed my wedding because you had a hair appointment that you didn't want to reschedule. And yes, I'm still bitter. At least your hair
Oh,
probably looked fabulous at that wedding that you didn't attend. Yeah.
I may have. It will remain a mystery.
It will. All right. What else? Another lesson. Um, I think a big one, another big one for me would be to be a risk taker. Take more risks and try to take the road that's less traveled sometimes.
Hmm.
And to be a lifelong learner, that's big for me. Trying new things, as you know, I think is so important to stay curious about life. It just makes life so much more fun. Travel the world and
Hmm.
fully experience it if you can. Life is just so much richer, I think, when you're open to adventure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And stop comparing yourself to others.
Mm,
I wasted so much time measuring my life against everybody else's highlight reels. And if I could redo it, I practice gratitude and celebrate differences instead of competing.
mm,
And life feels lighter when you realize it's not a race, but a marathon, let's face it.
most definitely. Yep,
Yeah.
for sure. And how
Uh-huh.
about this one? Although it seems kind of practically impossible, I think at the time when there's barely any money left at the end of the month, but try to
Hmm.
make it a priority to do three things: to spend, save, and give away. I think all three matter. And if you work for a company that offers a 401k, contribute the maximum right off the top. I think that way you'll never miss it. And then decades later, it will all be worth it. When you're in your 30s, gosh, at least for me, 60 seemed like it was just miles and miles, so far away. But trust us, now we both can say that it does sneak up fast. And financial peace of mind is one of the best gifts that you can give your future self. So I think that that's definitely a big one for me that I wish I knew more of back in my 30s.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Especially since by your 50s, job security isn't guaranteed,
Yeah,
as we discussed in a previous episode.
yeah.
So be prepared. Okay, so here's another one. Being different in retrospect is your superpower,
Hmm.
as you were saying, Karen. So at 30, I wanted to blend in, to hide my accent. And now I understand that you say, oh, you were so fun and so cute because now I see those things, my Dutch roots, my perspective, even my fire hydrant hair. That's what made me unique back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't realize that because I didn't value that.
Right. Oh, unique you are. And we all are, really, you know. But I've always loved your accent. I
Mm.
never thought it was something to hide because really it made you stand out. I mean, some ways I think I was a little bit jealous of you because it's like, wow,
Oh,
that's so cool. Like she's speaks all these languages and it's amazing. Also,
mm.
I think your accent definitely made boring meetings sound exotic. So thank you for that because that made a lot more fun.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Oh, you were always so gracious to me, even after I used to mess up your way too tidy work cubicle every Monday. Just to start your week off with a bit of chaos.
I knew that it was you. And honestly, you're terrible. That was terrible to do. You knew how important it was for me to have my life organized. But now that I think about it, by terrible, maybe I mean brilliant. Because in some weird way, I think you actually helped to prepare me for motherhood by doing that. So, really, free training. So, I should be thanking you for that. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
yes. 30 years later, finally there it is, listeners. Because I instinctively knew that.
Right.
But in my 30s, I carried way too much on my shoulders. Expectations, worries, the need to please, one biggie.
Hmm.
If I could redo it, I'd travel lighter emotionally. But I think for our generation, reputation was important. At least for Karen and me, it was. And so even back then, I always was on guard to do the right thing. And yet, we also took time to celebrate life in small ways. And an ordinary life becomes extraordinary when you sprinkle those special moments in.
Yeah.
We've said that before. And boy, did we need those moments back then.
Yeah, so true. I think a lot of us drag around things that don't serve us anymore. We have old habits, old fears. And as you already mentioned, but I think is just such a big thing in your 30s, such a worry about what others are thinking of us. The
Right.
comparison game just isn't worth it, but it is a big one. And it can just be so negatively impactful, I think. I think in today's world with social media, though, I feel like it's even harder
Yeah.
for younger generations than what we
Hmm.
faced. But letting go is so freeing, as hard as that is. And comparisons fade, but it's the true friendships really that last. Like yours. I mean, you're basically the sister that I got to choose
Hmm.
and the one that I can never give back. Not that I want to. I
Well,
don't want to.
very eloquently put. Anyway, no, we've carried this friendship from hospital visits to weekends with both our families together to weekly calls now.
Yeah.
And that's just something I tell my younger self. Hold on to the people who make you laugh and feel known
Yeah.
because they are the keepers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's funny how at 30 we thought 60 sounded so ancient.
Hmm.
And I thought life would really shrink with age, but it's actually expanded over the years. We're no longer having to chase that every should in our lives.
Hmm.
We've really gotten a freedom there. And we do as we can and we choose what matters. I love that. And there's this sense of freedom that I wish we had known was waiting for us back then.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree because when we think about our younger selves, and if we want to encourage them, I would say, you know what, you're doing better than you think, girl.
Mm, yeah.
And the doubts and the mistakes weren't failures, they were steps. So see where it has brought us now.
Yeah.
If, yeah, you're right. If they could see us now, Karen.
That's right. Yeah, I think failure really is just simply not attempting the steps, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. But I do want to add in here one more thing. Mel Robbins' let them theory. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
I think most
Yeah.
people have heard of this by now. Um, it's just basically this idea to stop trying to control others or change their actions. Let them be who they are, and then I can be who I am. So we can't control those people around us, and we can't choose what they do, but our power is then in how we choose how to respond to them. And that really is kind of a superpower that I wish that I had known in my 30s for sure. That would have been really helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect reminder. So, listeners, what about you? If you could sit down with your 30-year-old self, what would you tell them?
Yeah. And if you're listening and you're in your 30s or close to it, what would you want us to know? I would love hearing from you about that. I love learning from the quote youth of today. Very wise. The youth of today are very, very wise.
Hmm.
All right, and here's our quote for today for your thought. It says this: in your 30s, you're still young enough to create and old enough to do it with knowledge. You're still hopeful enough to believe in the good and eager enough to go out and do it. You are brave enough to look at the truth and wise enough to know what to do with it. What a wonderful decade to unbox parts of your true self. I love that. So,
Yeah.
looking back, life really is a tapestry of lessons. Some learned the hard way, some stumbled upon by accident. And they're not just lessons for our 30s, but I think they're for really every stage of our lives.
So true. Wherever you are on your journey, take these insights to heart. They might just save you some time, heartache, or regret. Remember, life isn't about perfection. It's about learning, evolving, and as we said earlier, finding joy in the little moments.
Mm, amen to that. Yes, if we've learned anything since our 30s, I think it's that the little things, the coffee with a friend, silly inside jokes, sunsets that you actually stop to breathe in. Those are the things that end up being the big things. Because if
Hmm.
two 60 somethings like you and I can still be curious, still be learning, and still crack each other up after all these years, there is hope for everyone.
Uh-huh.
So, to our younger selves and to you listening right now, give yourself grace. Keep your tweezers handy, your water bottles full, and your hearts wide open. And don't forget to laugh along the way. Never forget to laugh.
And we'll be here cheering you on, facial pliers and all.
I think that's maybe going to be the name of my memoir, Facial Pliers. It'll be a bestseller for sure. Oh, and the subtitle can be Tweezers Were Too Mainstream.
Exactly. You see, you're already on your way.
That's right.
Oh, gosh. Well, thanks for listening, friends. Until next time.
Well, thanks for spending time with us here on 60 and Sassy. If you laughed, nodded along, or maybe just felt a little less alone, that's the magic that we're here for. Please make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. If you're loving what you hear, we'd be so grateful if you'd leave a quick review or share the podcast with a friend or a family member. Do you have any thoughts, feedback, or topic you'd love us to dive into? Please drop us a line at lifemoments@mail.com. We'd truly love to hear from you. We'll be back soon with more laughs and real talk. Until then, stay true and authentic, be kind, and never lose your sass.